Hello you beautiful people, we are back with another Goldvein video, and this time it was round 2. There were more buildings up for grabs and people were not familiar with how it works from round 1, which meant that we all needed to be on our A game. But before all of that, I wanted to say a quick little thank you to all the latest viewers and subscribers that I got recently. I mean, we're up to a whopping 17 subscribers. It's nothing to sing home about, but I am thankful and I am grateful. So thank you for following along, and hopefully I'll have more content for you guys to see and watch and get entertained by. Now, like an idiot, I forgot to record the first 10 minutes. So we're actually going to be jumping in from just before the halfway mark. Now, Week 2 meant that the central zones were opening up and they were worth quite a bit of points. Unfortunately, we did drop the ball fairly quickly, like surprisingly quickly. We lost C1 and C4 within, I want to say, the first 5 to 10 minutes. Now granted, there were buildings with high percentages. We just didn't secure the spots fast enough, and truth be told, after our showing in week 1, I feel like we got a little bit too cocky. We should have had way more players occupying those 2 buildings, and we didn't. We relied a little too much on our bigs, and that backfired. But that's how it goes. We were able to quickly learn from it, and we then had even more forces to cover the other contested areas. Now, Zone D was covered excellently by our second and third server, at least for the first 20 minutes before the bottom half opened up and they had to split. I guess one of the perks of losing a key central building early is that you can then split yourselves properly when the bottom half opens up after 20 minutes. One server covering Zone D, one server for Zone E, and finally one server for Zone F. Our aim was simple: don't lose any more buildings in the central zones. Losing the outer buildings was okay. I mean, not ideal because we wanted to have as much of a cushion as possible going into week 3. But like I said in the previous video, there's only so much you can defend. And if we were to lose an outer zone building, let it be a small 40 points one. We still wanted to hold as many of the primary buildings as possible. And to be fair, by this point, we were doing exactly just that.
Sky's the limit. Sky's the limit.
The main bulk of our force was in the central zone, with the biggest players spread across the big buildings. More often than not, one of them could at least ensure that the destruction percentage wouldn't get too high, and if for whatever reason it did go over 70 to 80%, we would get notified and send someone there straight away. Now, with a little over 10 minutes to go, we were doing great. We didn't lose any more buildings in the central zone, which was key for us. And for the outer buildings, the only big ones we had lost was A1. It's also worth remembering that the building percentages stay until the following week. So even if the opposition gives up, which thankfully for us, they never really did, it's in your best interest to bring those buildings down to 0% to make them work even harder in the final week.
Puffy, Rola muita putaria.
Te bater de frente, 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 frente. Não tente bater de frente, 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 frente. Não tente bater de frente, 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 frente. Não tente bater.
Now you see here, the hardest bit that we found is to try and get your bigs the best seats in the house. Most players don't check their messages in the heat of the battle, so that's why I'd always recommend getting as many people from your team to jump on voice chat on Discord if possible. As you can see, I was trying to get our biggest player hold out closer to the building because their biggest player had a front row seat and was basically feasting on all players in the building. Thankfully, we eventually got there and that small little blip was taken care of.
Aê, esse é o DJ Goldog, o cachorrão das putas.
DJ Goldog, solta putaria, porra. Putaria,
Esse é o DJ Goldog, um brabo de canhão.
Aê, esse é o DJ Goldog, o cachorrão das putas.
DJ Goldog, solta putaria, porra. Putaria,
Esse é o DJ Goldog, um brabo de canhão.
Now to wrap this up, we were heading into the final week with them needing a little over 3,600 points to win, which meant that if they took the capital plus a handful of the small 40 points building, they would win. Now, not to be too arrogant, just based on what we had seen so far and what we know of the servers, they weren't going to beat us at the capital. So our plan would be to get it down to 0% ASAP, get it shielded, and then move to protect the other zones in order to truly stomp any ideas of a wild comeback. In fact, these were the two little options that they could go for, and as you can see, it would require a tremendous effort from them in order to achieve it. So truth be told, I was confident that we would be able to get the job done, but of course, if there's anything that we learned today, is to not get too cocky and just plan as if you're going to lose, basically. No, Don't plan as if you're going to lose, just plan as if it's going to be the last battle and you need to be perfect. Yeah, that's better. For this week, however, everything went smoothly. The only hiccup being how quickly we lost the first 2 buildings in Zone C. Ideally, we wouldn't have lost them just period, but I'd have been happier if we really managed to waste more time on those 2 buildings, because it made the rest of the battle a lot more intense than it should have been.
DJ Duda e o baile tá sensacional. O rebola no vral, o rebola no vral. Joga potranca aqui pra marginal. O rebola no vral, o rebola no vral. Joga potranca aqui pra marginal. O rebola no vral, o rebola no vral. O rebola no vral.
Right, that's me done. If you have any questions or thoughts or feedbacks on how we could have done better, then please leave a comment. It's too late for us, obviously, but someone reading might be playing Goldvein in the future, and they could look to apply these tips and tricks. With that being said, have a wonderful day. Peace.